of trying to capitalize off a fallen system. So in terms of being more of a revolutionary type spirited woman, you would think of them as non-institutionalized, non-conformist, definitely non-conformist. um, so when you think of that, you're not thinking about homeschool, you're not thinking about sitting up in any businesses asking people who seek to oppress you, how they'd like to be served, right? You're not trying to assimilate into a culture that is limiting, right? So definitely you would think of somebody who is more of the gypsy type mindset of as someone who is going to rebel and buck against the system and pretty much do it with ease, be able to just get through to where it is that they are comfortable, or that they are in their best element. So when I see a lot of people in the conscious community today, especially the women and the men who are attracted to these women, it's hard to draw the connection to being someone who really wants liberation, right? Because it seems people are pushing very hard for this capitalizing off of our culture, right? If we sell everything, if we're selling all of our trades and secrets, are just cultural relics, like just practices, as soon as you learn something in the conscious community, or as being a conscious person, which a lot of people probably aren't really going too deep into the consciousness, right? So it's kind of like, if as soon as you do get a hold of some type of information, you're trying to sell it, you know you're canceling out a very natural essence that you could be growing in, right, and be strengthening. So it's kind of contradictory to liberation. You're selling your liberation, you're putting a price on your freedom, and every time you embark on selling that wisdom and that knowledge, you push your freedom that much further away from you, and you make it that much more expensive to acquire, to the point where you could never buy your freedom. So you're putting a price tag on your liberation and your freedom, because you neglect the more essential qualities of being a free person, right? And when I talk about being a gypsy, I'm not talking about someone who's just belly dancing all over the place. And it's like a reality that some people are just not conformists. They're just not going to bow down to the system. They're just not going to be that one to pick up the phone and be like, I'm going to call 911, or I'm going to report this person to this institution. But when you look at a lot of these women and a lot of these brothers attracted to these women, are these brothers, period, they're that type, right? And it's like, when do we how do you say you're conscious and you're still following the white man's system? Like, it's one thing to say that you don't believe in Jesus anymore and that you put away the Bible, right? But when you think about it, a lot of people never believed in him in the first place. That doesn't automatically make you conscious. A lot of people who quote unquote don't go to church, they still adhere to a lot of religious sentiment and practices in a certain way. They still have the same superstitions, and they still uphold that white man. So it's not fair to say that just because you are not a church goer, and that you're not a Bible thumper, that you are all of a sudden conscious, right? You have to actually be outside of the matrix, outside of the mentality, and pretty much live in a parallel dimension